Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Sandeman Street Podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. I'm Andrew, and as usual I'm joined by my regular co-host Jack. Jack, how are you today?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did, and yourself?
Yeah, pretty quiet. I think we were both the designated drivers, the
We were.
taxis,
Yep.
so nothing too mental, but it is Christmas. And today we're joined by Martin as well. Martin, how are you?
Good, all good. How are you boys doing?
We're all good, mate. We're all good.
Good, mate.
That's what I like to hear.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get another Dundee fan on the podcast on this occasion, so
There's none, that's why.
for our Dundee Derby special, it's only me that's come out from behind the couch. So I'm 2 against 1, but that's fine. I'm willing to hold my own. Before we get started, just a quick call to follow us on social media if you can. On Twitter or X, we are at Sandeman ST Pod. That is at Sandeman ST Pod. And on Instagram, we are at The Sandeman Street Pod. At The Sandeman Street Pod. You can also find us on YouTube. We have link trees on both social media platforms, but you can also type in Sandeman Street Podcast to YouTube. I'm sure you'll find us that way. And if you can subscribe to our channel and leave likes on all our videos, that would be a great help to us. So lads, since there's two of you, we'll start with United. We're recording today on Sunday rather than Monday, so a wee bit different this week. A 1-1 draw at Tawdry, probably a decent result in the grand scheme of things. So Jack, what's your thoughts on that one?
I think I said last weekend, I think a point would be a good result. Aberdeen are on a pretty good run at the moment, on one of Jimmy Fallon's purple patches. And I thought it would be a tough game. I think I was right. I think looking at the highlights, obviously I wasn't there. It seemed to be mostly Aberdeen. Most highlights were Aberdeen's highlights. United had a couple of chances. Obviously managed to take one. A good goal by Amar Fatah, to be fair, down the left-hand side. Cuts inside and manages to catch the keeper off guard. And then, Aberdeen were able to equalise. But I think a point up there is always going to be a good result. And it seems to be one of these seasons where we're getting points basically every game. It's a draw. So it's not too surprising, I would say.
Yeah, the Amar Fata goal was certainly a piece of quality that didn't deserve to be in the game that it was in, Martin. A really good run, direct run, old school wingers play, gets yourself driven down the pitch, cuts inside and scores. What was your overall thoughts on the match? I don't know how much you've seen of it.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the game. It was on the telly, but I just sort of caught up on the highlights on YouTube. And obviously, Fatah scored a good goal. You know, he's an attacking-minded winger who's always harrying players, and that's exactly what he's done there. Forced the Aberdeen player into the mistake, and then went on a wee run with the ball and put it really, really calmly and really neatly past the goalkeeper. But to be honest with you, just looking at the stats of the game, it just sums up where United are at the moment. It's not to come on in the festive period of cheer and joy and be all cynical, but what's going on with this United team? I can't remember the last time I was on the podcast. Maybe it was before the last derby. I really can't remember. I was expecting so much more from this United team, and for whatever reason, they just cannot seem to get themselves going. They've got a squad of players who look like they really fancy it when it's the big games. 2 games undefeated against Rangers and a win against Celtic. But we're going up to Pittodrie and only getting 28% of the ball. It's not good enough. And you know what, right? Despite that lack of possession, we still had 13 shots on target in total. 13 shots in total, which is only one less than Aberdeen. But I don't feel the chances we're creating are coming from us getting the ball, moving it about and pressing. It's always from a long throw or a corner and a sort of scrammy in the box. Whereas other teams are getting the ball on the deck and creating chances against us. And it's just, I look at that team and think, it's a squad of boys that, it's the first squad of players that I would say were better when they didn't know each other. They were playing such good football at the start of the season. And now they've had time to gel and bond and get to know each other's styles. The football just seems to have went out the window, and it's kind of hit and hope for a lack of a better phrase. You know what I mean? I'm just disappointed in United so far this season, and I hope that we can maybe get the spark that we had earlier on in the season. But yeah, it's where we are, is it?
See, from an outsider looking in, and I mean, I don't get to watch United very often. I did watch them on the TV on Saturday, and when they're on the TV, I will watch them if I'm about and if I'm able to. Uh, I know that I've came on podcasts before with probably both you and Jack as well, and had a bit of a dig at United, Jim Goodwin style team. They're a team, they like to spoil the game at times, and I think that I wouldn't say to concentrate on doing that too much, but the way they do that to quite a high extent that their actual flair pairs are being stifled. So when you've got players like Fata, Sapsford, the boy on the other wing, what's his name, Dogcheck, is it? I mean, flair players, and the boy
Player who's been
Dogcheck,
subject to a lot of criticism this season, and rightfully so, in my opinion.
who
A very good
Dogcheck,
player with the ball at his feet, a very good player technically, but a player who, again, just seems to lack interest a lot of the time.
he doesn't seem to have turned up for months.
No, he was absolutely brilliant at the start of the season. I think he scored or was involved in goals for the first 5 games of the season or something, and then all of a sudden it just couldn't be interested, it seemed there. Again, it's just frustrating to see a player of his quality failing to provide really anything over the last few months.
See, I don't know the boy's history, but I think is he on loan from a team, Slovakia or something like that. He's Croatian, but he's on loan from a team in Slovakia,
Yeah.
I think it is. Jack might be able to correct me if I'm wrong there, but
Yeah, you're right.
he's I don't know how many clubs he's had in his career. I don't know how old he is, but you tend to find boys who potentially have an attitude like that. If he does have that attitude, they bounce between clubs because when the going's going good, they're good players. When the going's not going so good, they didn't have any interest. So yeah, it's a strange one because, like you say, when United were a new team put together in the summer, they produced some really good performances, especially in Europe.
Yeah.
And as the season's gone on, they've just never got started.
Like I say though, it's just I think a team of players who we've got some really good individuals in that squad. Don't get me wrong, but a group of players who some of the key links in that team seem to only turn up on the big matches. You know, it's all fair beating Celtic 2-1 and getting 2 points in 2 games against Rangers, but if you're getting hosed off teams like Falkirk, failing to beat Kilmarnock as often as what we do, what's the point in beating Celtic? You know what I mean? There's no point in beating Celtic if you kind of win the games against your Falkirks and your Killys. No point whatsoever.
I mean, even look at Hearts, and Hearts have had a very good start to the season and a very good season, and they have a very, very hard fought one at Tannadice where they scored very late, and you got a draw at Tynecastle.
Yeah, a cracking result at Tynecastle. Big game, team turned up.
So it's a strange one. I mean, the big game at Dens, Dundee didn't turn up that day. United did 2-0. I mean, obviously this is where Derby's special, and we're going to have a lot of Derby chatter later on. But I just the game earlier in the season at Dens was a very strange one, in my opinion. I mean, you guys weren't there. I don't know if you watched it live at the time. And got maybe a feel of it when you were there. It might have been a completely different feel when you were at the game in the away end on that particular occasion. And I remember speaking about it on the Derby after the Derby reflection episode afterwards, and I got a bit of stick on social media for kind of criticising the atmosphere. I mean, I didn't want to, as we all know, that regardless of how many times you caveat what you're about to say by saying, look, I'm not saying this to criticise either or whatever, football fans always find an angle to say that you're being bitter and say that you're being this and that. And it wasn't coming from a place of bitterness because Dundee had just lost a derby. It was coming from just like having been to loads and loads of derbies in the past and experienced great atmospheres either at Dens or at Tannadice. And that derby just felt so flat. And the game itself didn't really help. And United scored 2 decent goals from their point of view. Not very good. They didn't, in my opinion, Dundee didn't make them work too hard to score those goals, and Dundee didn't really trouble United at all in the entirety of the game. And when you look at the way that the season's progressed and how United have been playing, it makes it even more frustrating now looking back on that.
Yeah, totally. That derby is probably the only derby I can really remember that felt like a formality. You play St Johnstone, for example. Are a team that you go and expect to win. You turn up, you win the game 1 or 2-0, you go away, there's no great atmosphere. Normally the Dundee Derby isn't like that, but that's the one derby that certainly the impression I got having watched it on the telly. We turned up, we scored the goals, we won the game. That was it. Nothing exciting like you would normally associate with a Dundee derby. I think that probably came from the lack of competition. For a good atmosphere, there needs to be two good teams going at each other, and Dundee didn't really turn up that day. I wouldn't really say United overly turned up that day. We just had to appear for 90 minutes, and we seemed to get the job done. But it was a very flat game that last derby.
Jack, just going back to the game yesterday for a couple of seconds, the goal that Aberdeen scored, what did you reckon? Do you reckon that was a bit of a goalkeeping error again?
It's a hard one, mate, because the ball bounces in front of him. It's one of those shots where it's hard for a keeper to read because it goes short. It could just roll along the ground. It could bounce up. It did bounce up. He was able to stop it. He probably should parry it to the side. I noticed on a couple of saves he made that the ball bounced back into the centre of the box. It seems to be an issue that both United keepers have this season, in which we're unable to clear the lines. All the saves we make bounce into the danger area, and it is a bit of a problem. So I think it probably is slightly an error on Richard's behalf, but I think you can't say too much because he did make a couple of really good saves as well that kept us in the game. So I think overall, on the balance of it as well, no disrespect to Kucherenko, but I think the position's Richards just now until either we're signing a goalie or Kucherenko's able to force it back off him, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Is he fit yet?
Not a clue, mate. But even if he was fit, I wouldn't drop Richards for him.
Right, I mean, it's not like the boy Richards just came in and he's been absolutely brilliant. He's had errors of himself and he's looked shaky in spells as well, but the situation was that bad, really, for the boy Kucherenko, that regardless of whether Richards would have had to come in and been worse, basically. And now he's not been Manuel Neuer by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you guys will be able to tell me more about him than what I've seen on games on the TV or on highlights, but he's had 2 or 3 moments himself. He's looked like a backup goalie, like a keeper who's been a backup goalie his entire career, and it's a difficult one. Do you go and sign a goalie in January when you've got a boy on a 3-year deal, or do you wait until the summer? What do you think, Jack?
I said it before. I think we'll give Rory Adams a chance, mate. Young goalkeeper, good prospect. Had a good spell at East Fife there before we recalled him. Like I said previously as well, I don't think he could be much worse than Kucherenko. No disrespect to Kucherenko, he's got his moments. He's a good shot stopper, but he's very unpredictable, and you need predictability in a goalkeeper. You need to know a goalie is going to be able to save a ball and stop a ball, and a stop a cross, collect a cross, whatever. And you don't get that with Kucherenko. So obviously winning games is important, but I think you can probably write the season off already. Just take it as a season. You're going to finish mid-table. Get Rudy Adams in goal. Get him experience in the top flight, and then hope that you can push on for the next season.
I don't know if I've had your thoughts on that one, Martin. I know that you've been on this season 2 or 3 times and you've probably spoken about the goalie, but what's your thoughts on it at this moment in time?
I remember at the start of the season praising Goodwin's recruitment. That was when the team were playing well, all these new players were shining, and there's still a lot of the new players that are playing quite well. Sapsford is undeniably a really, really good player. But I think goalkeeping wise, he definitely hit a bit of a dud with the boy Kucherenko. just a crazy goalkeeping style. And if that's worked from in the past, maybe in a different league, the football style's a bit different and you can get away with these things. But up here, he's cost us a lot of points, a lot of points, and it's not as if it's bad goalkeeping in general. It all seems to have been stemming from him just wanting to come out to the halfway line to try and punch things, and it couldn't go on for forever. So apparently he got injured. I don't know. I'll put my faith in United and believe what they're saying that he is injured for. I think it was 6 weeks they said when it was announced. But the boy Richards, he's better, but he still has a couple of mistakes in him. I've not actually seen any of these mistakes in person or even on highlights, but I've heard people talking about them, and it's just when you've got a defence like ours that isn't rock solid, and a goalkeeper behind them who, is prone to a mistake or two. You can score all the goals you want, you're never going to do anything, and it's just frustrating that we're in this situation where we're being let down by goalkeeping errors, in multiple games, and two keepers who are causing errors. I mean, I'm not wanting to sit and bash the boy Richards, but that goal he conceded against Aberdeen, yeah, it took a bounce in front of him, but ultimately that'll go down as a goalkeeper error. He's palmed it right out in front of him. The boys ran in and scored, and the boy Jesper Karlsson's absolutely mince as well. That Aberdeen game at Tannadice, he was absolutely hopeless. So when you see players like that scoring against you, it's an even bigger kick in the teeth. But yeah, it's just one of the many leaks that seem to have appeared in this United team this season. And I hate to sound like a total cynic. I know you probably think United are sitting bottom of the table, 10 points adrift the way I'm speaking, but if I tell you the truth, I'm just so disappointed in where we are at the moment. I expected so much more, and there's been so many things wrong with this team that I did not see coming. It's a hard one to take, really.
I think when you say you've not seen any of the mistakes he's made, but you've heard it on socials and whatever, I think he's not making glaring mistakes like what Kucherenko was doing, where he's coming out for the ball and totally missing it and Supermaning past it and whatnot, or the ball's rolling to him and he's missing the kick, or he's trying to catch it and dropping it. He obviously did do that in a way yesterday, but it's spilling things and not taking things cleanly, and basically the crowd's on edge every time the ball goes towards them. And I find it absolutely hilarious that between the two Dundee clubs, and this is only in my opinion, that there's however many goalkeepers signed between the two of them, and the best one's on loan at Ross County.
It's absolutely crazy.
Trevor Carson. We'll move on now to Dundee, and I mean the goal that the goalkeeper yesterday, John McCracken, and I know that I'm probably one of his biggest critics, and I know that I come on here and I say a lot of the time that I want the fans to stick with the team until full time, and then at full time voice their frustrations and vent their anger, but during the 90 minutes support the team. And I like to try and come onto this podcast and do the same. So when John McCracken does have a good game or he does things well, I will try my best to be fair with him. But when you get an opinion of someone as a football player, I think it's quite difficult to shake that. And certainly in my case, I just don't rate him. I just think that there's too many mistakes in him, and yesterday, especially in the first half, he looked like an absolute bag of nerves. I mean, I don't think your guys have obviously not weren't at the match. I don't know if you've seen any of the highlights or anything, or heard anything about him.
I did see your keeper flying out of his box to try and get a ball, and it was taken round him, and luckily the Dundee defender was there to meet the ball that came into the box. But if that goes the other way, you're looking at that keeper and thinking that's the howler of the season, eh? And again, that's probably not a lack of confidence. If anything, that's maybe overconfidence or just a massive error of judgment to run out your box to get a ball like that. But yeah, could have been costly.
What annoys me the most about him though is that you notice that when he makes a mistake, he tends to just blame everybody else but himself. Like, you notice when somebody's come up and they've come out the goal, or a defender's made an absolute ricket, like they usually would hold their hands up and you could visibly see them saying sorry to their teammates. But there was one particular yesterday where the ball's going back, and it's one of the awkward ones where it's like in between the goalkeeper and the defender, but the defender's holding off a striker, and they're kind of like, who's going to get the ball type situation. And Billy Cometto was like kind of jockeying the ball back towards the goalie, but he's got Brian Graham on his shoulder, and he's kind of handling the situation relatively well. But it's John McCracken's ball, and he comes out and squaffs at the ball, or Billy Cometto has to clear it, or I can't remember exactly what happened. But it's John McCracken's fault for not taking control of the situation, because Billy Cometto was doing what he needed to do. And he just starts cracking up at Cometto, and you can just see Cometto standing like, what else do you want me to do here? And it's so frustrating.
We had an Aussie in goal who was fond of that, but the less said about that, the better tonight.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Amy Canavan. She works for the BBC, and
yeah, I know who that is.
She was covering the game yesterday for the radio or whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. But there was a quote from her on the BBC website that I wanted to read out. Dundee goalkeeper John McCracken is having an absolute mare, and the home fans are growing increasingly frustrated. Kicking balls against opposition forwards, rushing out his goal like a headless chicken and grasping at thin air. Someone must have had a good Christmas. And honestly, I'll bring you in here, Jack. I don't know how much you've seen of this, but it's a bit like what I was saying a few weeks ago with Kucherenko, where it's at that stage now where he just has to be taken out for his in good more than anything else, more than the team's benefit, more than any. The most important thing is get him out of the team for his own sanity. And we've got a goalkeeper sitting on the bench and a goalkeeper out on loan at Ross County that you could argue are probably better than what we've got playing, and he's coming out and just causing scenes of chaos every week almost now. You've got a goalkeeper in O'Hara on the bench who played 20 odd times for Kilmarnock last season. Trevor Carson's on loan at Ross County, so that one's obviously, we don't have to say anything about that at the moment unless some sort of miracle happens and he gets recalled in January. But I don't know what your thoughts on it
are. McCracken's one of the goalies that's very hot and cold. He's one game I feel like he'll have a very good game. The next he's having an absolute mare. To be fair, it's been more mares than good games recently for Dundee. But he seems to have a very bad. He's a bad decision maker. He doesn't make the right decisions when he needs to. I've noticed in a few games this season, just watching the highlights, that he's making the wrong call when it comes to trying to make a save. Instead of using his hands, he'll use his feet or whatever. He tries to pass to someone, and it's the wrong pass. The pass isn't on, but he tries to force it. Trevor Carson, I think, proven himself at this level that he's good enough. It's surprising because at both Dundee clubs, he's probably been the best player at the club and yet never played for either of us, which I don't get. It must be an attitude problem, I'm assuming. As for O'Hara, I don't really know much about the boy, to be honest with you, so I can't say if he's better than McCracken. But if he keeps making these mistakes, you're going to have to make a change like United has, because it is going to cost you points and it's going to cost you goals. And let's be honest, Dundee aren't a team that's going to score many more goals than the opposition. So the fewer goals you concede, the better chance you've got of winning the game, let's be honest.
I think your decision-making thing's probably the best way to describe it. I mean, the goal at Livingston's equaliser, it's just somebody who is lacking in confidence and in that exact moment doesn't know how to react, and the ball goes in between his feet and squirms into the back of the net, and it's just stuff like that. You could just tell that he's got absolutely no confidence in himself, and he doesn't come out for anything. He doesn't command his box unless the ball's right on top of him. So all the time the defenders have got to be the ones who are clearing everything. And I mean, Dundee's defence isn't great at the best of times. They were all right yesterday. And I wanted to move on to kind of the game as a whole now, because I don't want to just sit here and bash John McCracken. But that's the second time I've seen Falkirk now. And you guys obviously will have a wee bit of a different perception of Falkirk because you've played them twice as well. First game of the season, they got their draw, and then they came to Tannadice and kind of did a job on you. I don't think Falkirk are very good, to be honest with you. I don't know if either of you want to jump in there and disagree with me, but that's the second time I've seen them this season. And in the first time, they score an own goal and a goal where the ball bounces on the AstroTurf pitch, takes out about 4 Dundee players, and the boy runs through it and, to be fair to him, scores a good goal. But they got a huge slice of luck. They also got the slice of luck in the first half where, between the referee and VAR, they decide that a Dundee player getting booted in the leg is a yellow card to Dundee and not a second yellow card and a penalty. So, they come to Dens yesterday, they've got big travelling support, and the humility is gone with them, right? You see this often with promoted teams. Obviously, they've had back-to-back promotions and an undefeated season within that. And they come in and they're all full of confidence. And they come to teams like Dundee who are, in this moment in time, struggling a wee bit. And they speak about Dundee like they're some sort of fucking junior team. Like, there was quite a lot of them in the pub with us before the match yesterday. They'd booked into our pub. And you could hear them speaking about Dundee like we're Lochie United. Now, Dundee aren't great at the moment, but Falkirk in my lifetime have been in the Premier League for about 5 minutes. Dundee have been in the Premier League the majority of my life. So, I mean, let's no kid on here who we're speaking about. But they had one shot on target yesterday. One shot on target. And they're on about how they came to Dens and they have like 600% possession and Dundee didn't have anything and they didn't look like they were going to score if they didn't have a penalty. They had one shot on target. I know that I've done a bit of criticising, or either you want to jump in here?
I'll jump in. I think you're right in what you're saying about when they've played Dundee. I think they've looked pretty rubbish, to be honest. Looking at the highlights anyway, it didn't seem like they've been up to much at all. Against United, I think it's a different prospect. I think United are probably a bit more of an attacking side, I would imagine, than Dundee are. And so there's probably more opportunities for Falkirk to find gaps in our defence, which they use to their advantage against us, whereas Dundee, I feel like, are a team that's maybe more scared to throw players forward. And so obviously you're going to push forward in some sense. You're going to have to try and score goals, but I think you're a bit more defensively minded than United are when playing Falkirk. I think Presley's a bit more pragmatic in that sense, and so if a team's sitting back against Falkirk, they're not going to be able to break them down. That's what it looks like from my perspective. I don't know if that is the case, but from what I view of it, that's what I think it is.
Dundee are certainly a lot more conservative than the vast majority of the teams in the Premiership at the moment. And it's because they have to be. They've not got the quality of player to do anything else. At any time this season that they've opened up and tried to be more attacking, they've got pumped. So they need unfortunately, at times you need to play to your strengths. And at this moment in time, Dundee's strengths are being horrible, being hard to beat, and scoring on the counter-attack. And me and the boy I sit with, me and my pal sit with at the match yesterday, were kind of speaking about it. See, if you look at Dundee's front three, not actually that bad. But unfortunately, and even their midfield is decent enough. I mean, the boy Hamilton's a good player. He's arguably our best player. Dan is a decent enough player. He'd get in quite a lot of teams in the Premiership. Callum Jones was the other one that started in the midfield three yesterday. Decent player. And the front three, Congreve, Yagan and Ashe, swap Ashe out for Simon Murray when he's on top form. They've got decent players, but they're, unfortunately at the moment, their defence and their goalkeeper probably aren't up to it at this moment in time. So they need to play a bit more conservative, play to your strengths and win matches. I mean, as I'm saying, like I'm not saying that the players that they've got in the attacking positions are like absolutely leading players in the league. I think Carmen Congreve's one of the highest assisters in the league, but they're not like absolutely fantastic. They're good players in their own right, but their defence is a wee bit more shaky and probably not up to the level at the moment, which will hopefully come with signings. So they've got to be a bit more pragmatic at the moment and harder to beat. What do you think?
I think that's exactly what you've got to do. You've just got to play to your strengths and kind of make the best of a situation which might not be ideal, really. Yeah, if you've got the players that maybe can't do what the manager's got in his mind, the manager might have to change things up a bit and realise that and think, you know what, we've maybe got to change what we're doing here a wee bit and just play to your strengths and hope that you can pick up points and build a bit of confidence in your squad and get a wee run of results going.
Yeah, definitely. And Jack, I think that this week, we could have had ref watch, but with the decisions in the Dundee game, the two red cards, but I think they're pretty plainly obvious that the outcome of both was correct. Falkirk initially had a red card. VAR sent the ref to the monitor. He overturned his decision to a yellow. Simon Murray gets sent off. VAR don't intervene. We also had a penalty that VAR give, which at the time when I seen it from the other end of the ground looked like an absolute stonewaller, and I couldn't believe the referee didn't give it in the first place. But VAR give it. So 3 decisions, VAR involved in 2 of them, and I think the outcome of all 3 of them were correct.
Yeah, I've seen the highlights, and they are all shown in the highlights. I think, the first one is a penalty. Is a penalty for Dundee. Strikes the boy's arm. It's up next to his face. I don't think you could have anything other than a penalty there. For their red card, which got overturned to yellow. Yeah, wins the ball. It's not too reckless. That's the right decision. For Murray, I feel a bit sad for him, I think. Not sad for him, I feel a bit sorry for him. He's running behind the boy and he misplaces his foot. I don't think he's done it deliberately. I think he's probably just tried to maybe knock the boy over slightly, but his foot gets caught on the back of the boy's ankle, and as the boy steps, it brings Murray's foot with him almost, and it scrapes it down the back of his leg. It looks a sore one, to be honest, but I don't think there's enough in it for VAR to overturn, and so it probably is the right decision on that behalf as well.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I didn't think he meant to cut the boy down. I don't think there was any malice in it, so to speak. Yeah, I think that it was a red card. I mean, it's danger. It's endangering the safety of an opponent, as they say. So I think that the referee sending him off, you can't really have too many arguments, in all honesty. But we'll move on from the weekend. We've spoken about it longer than what I was wanting to, but just before we move on from the Dundee and United results, Jack, the score predictions that were put in last week. So if I just get them up now, the Aberdeen United game finished 1-1. We said 2-1 Aberdeen and 1-0 Aberdeen, so no points for either of us on that occasion. And for Falkirk against Dundee at Dens, I said 2-1 Dundee and you said 1-1. The match finished 1-0, so I pick up a point there, which means now after how many game weeks? 11, I think that is. It doesn't say. I've cut that out of the picture. After 11, I think, game weeks, I'm on 8 points and you're on 11, so there's now a 3-point gap between us. But moving on to the rest of the weekend's card, there was all 6 games were yesterday. Early game yesterday was the Edinburgh Derby, which finished Hibs 3 Hearts 2, so a good win for Hibs. Brings everything kind of closer in with the title race. Celtic have got that game in hand. The other results: Dundee 1, Falkirk 0, Livingston 2, Celtic 4. A bit of a mad beginning to that game. It was 4 goals in 7 minutes. 10 minutes into the game and it was 2-2. Rangers 1, Motherwell 0, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0, and Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 1. So, Martin, just to bring you in quickly here before we move on to next week, I wanted to quickly touch on whether or not you were listening to Radio Scotland yesterday.
No, you know what? I was busy yesterday. I didn't get a chance to listen to Radio Scotland. I have listened to it a couple of times over the last few weeks, but I just didn't get a chance to yesterday.
Well, just to carry on with our moans about it,
Oh yes.
I was reading on Twitter, and I was listening to it briefly after the match yesterday. They had 6 Premier League games on yesterday, 4 of which were 3 o'clock. They had a full Championship card, a full League One card, and so on. Guess what they did yesterday at 3 o'clock?
You know what? I'll tell you exactly because I actually did listen to the radio yesterday, but I only listened to it for a few minutes, and that's how I forgot that I actually did. I was trying to get open all mics, and I hunted high and low for it. And I think, was it the Rangers game they had on, or would it have been the Celtic? It was one of the two, obviously. So I just gave up after a couple of minutes of looking for open all mics.
They had both.
What was it, both of them on, was it? Aye.
They had 2 live commentaries at the same time, which they never do, and it was the Celtic Livingston game and the Rangers Motherwell game.
Yeah.
Both of them were on at the same time, live commentary, and there was no open all mics.
Yeah. I mean, what you've got to remember, one thing I will say in BBC Scotland's defence, you've got a lot of boys from places like Dundee and Aberdeen that choose to support Celtic and Rangers, so it is only fair for these boys that have never been at a game in their life to be able to experience it, you know what I mean? Obviously there's alternatives they could go to, and it's entirely their choice, so they've got not a leg to stand on, but give BBC some credit. They've got to worry about Celtic and Rangers because they're the fans who are hard done by. And if they're on the radio, then it's all hell breaks loose. No, it really annoys me. It really does. It's like, as if there's no. See, when it's Sky Sports, you can understand it because Sky Sports are relying on it for the money. The BBC Sports Sound, BBC Radio Scotland, that's not subscription based. So if they annoy Celtic and Rangers fans to the point where they're stopping listening, it's no money out of their pocket. So why are they doing this kind of thing? There's no financial incentive for them there. So why are they doing that? It's pure bias, and it really grinds my gears. But you can moan about it all you want. It's been like that for years, and it'll be like that for years, will it?
As you say, if you were to have turned on Radio Clyde yesterday and it was the Rangers and Celtic games are both there, you could understand, because one, they rely on adverts and they rely on people listening, so that people pay more for adverts. And the second one is because they're a West Coast radio station. So Rangers and Celtic are on the West Coast, and that's what they'll predominantly the majority of their fans will listen to. But when it's a national broadcaster who are funded by the licence fee, why are Rangers and Celtic licence fee payers any different to Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, United, Dundee, Fraserburgh, Bonnyrigg Rose, Gallifrey Dean Rovers? Why are their fans any different? And I used to love this years ago when coming home from the match and you would have Richard Gordon doing it, because he did it for obviously a long time, and he would go into the Highland League and he would tell you the Highland League scores. And once Kenny McIntyre doesn't do that. He doesn't tell you the Highland League, the Lowland League, the West of Scotland Premier League, the Midland. He doesn't cover any of that. But as long as Tom English and Michael Stewart are arguing about VAR for the 140th time this season, he's telling you about the 3 songs that we're going to listen to later on and asking you to WhatsApp in voice clips about if Hearts can win the league, then he's absolutely content with everything else.
You know what, right? It's funny, I was actually listening to the Celtic United game on the radio when I was walking my dog a few weeks back, and it's just popped into my head there, something that at the time I was thinking the next time I'm on the podcast I'm going to say, and this is about BBC Radio Scotland. And one thing I want to say about Radio Scotland is, before I go and slate them again here, Open All Mics is fantastic. When Open All Mics is on and you've got all the different people and all the different grounds chipping in with their wee bits, it's great listening. It really is absolutely brilliant, and I would argue the best radio coverage of football in the entire UK. But one thing I want to touch on is BBC Radio Scotland's resident Celtic fan, Patrick Bonner. What is he doing there? I have never heard him commentate on a game that doesn't involve Celtic, and when he is commentating on a game that involves Celtic and whoever, it's the most biased, Celtic can do no wrong, green-tinted commentary you have ever heard. That Celtic United game, I can't remember him giving United any plaudits. Now, I've got no doubt that he did, and I just can't remember. But it's the commentary you get from Patrick Bonner on radio is so ridiculously green-tinted. It irritates me to no end. It really, really annoys me. And I would love it for BBC Radio Scotland to put him on a Livingston Falkirk game. and I would love to hear the enthusiasm or lack of in his voice if he was commentating on that game.
Yeah, that is one of the things that it does irritate me, and I think that when we had our big moan about it before the one of the last times you were on, I did say that. Like, what one of the things that does irritate me about it is that every team, other than Dundee and a few others, seem to have their own resident pundit. So anytime Hearts are at home, Alan Preston will do it. Anytime St Mirren are at home, Chick Young will do it. Anytime Celtic are there, you'll have a Celtic pundit. Rangers pundit. It's always the same people doing the same teams.
Yep.
And
If it's live commentary with Celtic, it's always every single time Patrick Bonner.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
he's
Celtic,
one of the most guys.
Celtic have obviously got Paddy Bonner that does it, and it's just an absolute nonsense, honestly.
The only positive to him commentating on that United game was that it was absolutely brilliant to hear the despair in his voice as he just watched his beloved team fall to their fourth defeat in a row. Absolutely superb, brilliant, love it. So I hope he enjoyed himself at Tannadice that night. And maybe, I don't know, the way Celtic have been playing, I know they've picked up a couple of wins on the bounce, maybe he'll want to transfer and commentate on another team's game if Celtic don't keep on winning. I doubt it, but you never know, you can hope, eh?
Anyway, before the steam comes out with ears too much,
Yeah.
Jack, are you looking forward to your trip to Almond Vale on Tuesday night?
I am, if I'm doing it, yeah. I actually forgot said I was going to do that, so I will. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I've got to make sure I'm free first before I commit to anything, but yeah, it should be good. Martin, you going to go?
No, you know what? I had planned on it, but it's looking like it's going to be nice weather, so I'm going to head out into the wild on Tuesday and do some other things. So the football will be given a miss, but I'll listen to it maybe in the car on the way home or when I get back home, depending on what time that is. So no, I'll more than likely not be there.
Fairs.
So what?
Yes.
Since we're speaking about it, what's your build up, Jack? Do you think United are going to win? It's one of those rare occasions where I absolutely hate myself because I want United to win.
Who knows, mate, with this United team, honestly. I think we drew with them last time. I think we can probably draw with them again. We've drawn more games this season than we've won or lost, so which is quite a glaring statistic, to be honest. I think Livy are not a good team. They're at the bottom for a reason, but United aren't much better. I feel like I think we're scraping results. Obviously, I'm hoping for a win, but someone's telling me that I don't think I'll be counting my eggs or chickens just yet.
And what about you, Martin? Do you think United will come away from West Lothian with 3 points?
It's a hard one to predict. Livy are not a great team, but they do have a bit of a sting in them. I mean, I know Celtic haven't been playing great, but they're still a good team, and Livy did score 2 goals against them in the first 10 minutes. So there's goals in that Livy team. There's also goals in whatever team's playing them. So it just really depends on what United team turn up. If we turn up and are able to sort of keep it tight at the back, there's definitely a goal or two in us. But like I said earlier on, there's no point in scoring these goals if you're conceding. And it's an ask for us it's a big ask for us to get a clean sheet in a game these days. So it'll maybe be a score. I'd like to think we can get the win, but I think it'll potentially be a score draw of some sort.
Having seen Livingston a couple of times this season, United, if United play to any sort of way that they can, they'll surely win. I know that United have not got a great record at Livingston, but this Livingston team are murder, and they've not won since August or something, have they not?
Couldn't tell you when they last won, but I do know that the overall head-to-head record is in Livy's favour, would you believe? A crazy stat, but I don't think we've played them that many times. It's probably less than 30 or 40, I would imagine, but if I remember correctly, their head-to-head against us is better.
That's right, mate. You're totally correct there. I think it's like 31 fixtures or something, and they've beat us 18 times or something.
You know what? I've actually got it on screen now. 38 games. United have won 13, 9 draws. Livy have won 16.
Yeah, mental.
Crazy.
They've obviously not been about long. If you were to add the previous incarnation of Livingston, Meadowbank Thistle, to that stat, then United have probably come out on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just quickly cover Dundee's home game against Kilmarnock because it is a big game, but we're really wanting to talk about the derby. The I think Jack a few weeks ago said that I've reiterated quite a few times over a few podcasts is that you were looking at the Livingston away game, the Motherwell game. You could look for bonus points. I know that every point is a point. No, you don't get bonus points, but you just for the sake of this argument, and then Falkirk and Kilmarnock at home, and you were looking for a minimum of 5 points. Now they've already got 4 points out of that Dundee, so kind of hoping now that they at least don't lose. I think I said the Falkirk game was a must not lose, and the Kilmarnock game's kind of similar. I think it is a must not lose at this moment in time because we've got the 3 points on Saturday, but you really don't want teams like Kilmarnock and whatnot around you. The teams around you, so at the moment it's really Kilmarnock and Livingston. You don't want them coming to Dens and getting anything. You could take a point at their place, like what we did at Livy, but when we have them at home, we need to beat them and put a bit of daylight in between them. I don't know what either of you think about that.
Yeah, it's a game that ideally you win. I think it is important that you try and limit the amount of points that both Killie and Livy get. And so if you can get the win, then you're obviously going to want that, regardless of who you're playing, to be honest. But from United's perspective, like looking at it as a United fan, I think Killie are world beaters. But they're obviously not. They're down at the bottom of the league for a reason. And I think it is a game that is very much winnable for Dundee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've not got the best of records against Kilmarnock either. We didn't really beat them very often, but we also didn't really seem to lose to them very often either. There were a lot of draws with Kilmarnock over the past few seasons, but the the likelihood is that tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Tuesday night, we'll really have to be targeting 3 points. If we get 3 points going into the derby, I think that puts 4 points of a gap between ourselves and Kilmarnock. And if United do the business at Livingston, it puts a 10 point gap, I think, between us and Livingston. Now, Livingston have got a game in hand. I'm not sure about Kilmarnock, but you have to say that if you're 10 points ahead of Livingston, then you're really looking like, are they going to pick up that amount of points? A team that haven't won since August. Anyway, we've touched on that, so we'll move on to the actual derby itself. Now, unfortunately, it seems to be for the second Dundee Derby Sandeman Street podcast special, whatever you want to call it, in a row, that I'll be the only one that's attending. But Martin, are you going to be watching it? Where will you be watching it? And what is your thoughts ahead of it?
Well, I'm actually in Edinburgh on that Saturday, hence why I'm not going to the game, so I'm hoping that I can get a pub to watch it in. I doubt that'll be the case, but I'll if I find a pub that's got the game on, I'll hopefully try and plant my arse on a seat and say that I'm not moving. But thoughts ahead of it? Like I've said before on this podcast, it's hard for me to go into a Dundee derby without full confidence just because of what I grew up watching and what really has been the case for my entire time supporting United, even up until this point, I think. But you've got to be realistic and say that United are a team that are not playing great. Neither are Dundee. I'm not going to play the cowards game and say that it'll be a 0-0 or it'll be an even game draw. I think there's definitely a winner in that game. To be honest with you, I think it could be either of the two teams because United are a team that if they turn up there and play how they've been playing against the smaller teams in the league, then by that logic Dundee should beat us because we won't turn up. But it is a derby, so by that logic we should turn up. Dundee, on the other hand, Dundee have been funny this season. I don't know what you think, but Dundee seem to get a result just when they need it. And I feel the derby is a great opportunity for them to do that, so I think it's very, very hard to call which way this game will go. Very hard. I'm going to say United win, obviously, but really, my head says it literally is in the lap of the gods, and we'll just need to wait until full time to find out.
And Jack, you've never seen Dundee United lose a derby, so thankfully you're not going. What's your thoughts on the derby?
Yeah, that's right. Tough game, mate. As Martin says, Dundee seem to be getting results when they need them. Derby is a great game to get a win. I think with United's form at the moment and Dundee's form, honestly, I see a draw, a score draw, maybe a 1-1 or 2-2, which I don't think is a terrible result for either club. Obviously, you want to be winning it, but we also need to understand that both the clubs aren't performing at their peak of their powers. So it's a tough game. Hoping for a win, expecting a draw.
See, there seems to be an awful lot of draws in the Dundee Derby over the past maybe 5 or 6 years, doesn't there? It seems to be a fixture that when United are the better team, they'll come into the Derby, take care of business and go away. Whereas when Dundee have the better team, they'll probably sneak the win. But when the two teams are nip and tuck, and I do think United are probably the better team than Dundee at the moment, but they're not really performing that way. History would tell you that United will probably take the 3 points because they seem to do that, but as a Dundee supporter, you want to sit here and give yourselves plenty of chance. I do think that, and this is going to sound really stupid because they've not actually won an away game this season in the league. The last time they won an away game was Bonnyrigg Rose in the League Cup section thing that we didn't like. But I think that actually suits Dundee more than it's at Tannadice, because if Dundee can stifle United for half an hour first half and keep it 0-0 or go 1-0 up even, then I think that the way that United are playing and the confidence that they'll have, getting the fans on their back could suit Dundee with it being at home. Don't know what you think about that. Either of you.
Could well be the case, if Dundee get an early goal, let's say the worst case scenario happens and Dundee get an early goal, maybe the keeper makes a bit of an error, that puts a seed of doubt in the defenders' minds. It could only go one way from there if that's how the game begins. You know what I mean? It's one of the many possible scenarios that could play out, and it's an absolute worst case scenario for United, best case scenario for Dundee. Like I say, I would like to think that given the importance of the game and given the scale of the game, Tannadice will be packed. I'd like to think that our players who love a big game will turn up and won't let that happen, and hopefully we can play some attractive, free-flowing football. But again, like I say, it really just depends on a million different factors, and for me, having seen very little, to be honest with you, of United this season, for me it's just too difficult to put a concrete call on it.
Yeah, I do think it's a very difficult one to call purely because of the way that both sides are performing this season. I think it's not been a great season for football in Dundee in terms of what you're watching on the park. Dundee have been not great to watch at all, even when they've won. Celtic game aside, they've been pretty miserable in all their victories, to be honest with you. Whereas the United have had games where you think there's a lot of potential in this team, but they've just not shown it enough. But we'll go over old ground. Jack, we'll do a score prediction. So, because we've only got the one game with it being a derby, I thought, why don't we cover the 2 games in midweek and the derby? So, first of all, I'm wanting your prediction for Livingston versus Dundee United.
I'm going to go 1-0 United.
Okay. And for that, I'm going to go for 2-0 United. I think United will do a job over Livingston.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, Martin, what do you think, just for fun?
What? My prediction's actually been stolen by one of us, but I'll not say who, so I'll say 2-1 United.
Okay. So for the Dundee versus Kilmarnock game, I'm going to take the coward's way out and I'm going to say 2-2. We've had a lot of 2-2s against Kilmarnock in the past 2 seasons, and I think we'll have another one. Dundee didn't win back-to-back matches, so 2-2 for me. What do you think, Jack?
I think this is going to be a game where there's not going to be many goals, if any. I'm going to go 0-0.
And what about you, Martin?
I think it's Killie are one of these teams that Dundee will get a 1-0 win against. I think, it'll maybe be a penalty, or it'll maybe just be a quick first half goal or something. So I'm going to go 1-0 Dundee on that one.
I was thinking that.
And Jack, your call. Who's going first for the derby?
You, on you go.
Okay, I'm going to say 1-1.
That's what I was going to go for. I mean, there's always goals in the derby, so I'll go. I'm going to go with. I don't want to say it. I'm going to go 1-0 Dundee.
Oh my God. That's the ultimate reverse psychology for you there.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. I'll get them put into the spreadsheet at some point. We'll move on though, and before we do what we're going to do at the end, we'll just cover the Futbology challenge. So, Martin, after a few weeks of me catching him, has managed to extend his lead. He has a game from 2022, December the 28th, and I have a game from 2003. So, my game 2003, Sunday, December the 28th. A crowd of 10,948 watched Dundee play Rangers. The managers were Jim Duffy and Alex McLeish. For Dundee, the team was Julian Speroni, Johnny Hernandez, Dave Mackay, Lee Mayer, Brent Sancho, Barry Smith, Lee Wilkie, Gary Brady, Mark Fotheringham, Bobby Lynn and Nacho Novo. And on the bench, John McCafferty, Carl McDonald, Dougie Cameron, Scott Robertson and Duncan McLean. For Rangers, Stefan Kloss, Fernando Rickson, Craig Moore, Henning Berg, Michael Ball, Chris Burke, Bob Malcolm, Mikel Arteta, Peter Lovenkrands, Nuno Capuccio and Shota Avaladze, and on the bench, Alan McGregor, Maurice Ross, Egil Ostenstad and Christian Nerlinger. The scorers were Capuccio on 6 minutes and Michael Ball on 35. I'm not even going to kid on that I know anything about this game. All the thing is that the referee was Dougie MacDonald, which the archive has just told me. Martin will have good memories on him.
Certainly do.
For Martin's game, it was a game from the 28th of December 2022. A crowd of 8,249 watched United beat Ross County 3-0. The managers were Liam Fox and Malky Mackay, and the teams, starting with United, Mark Birighitti, Ryan Edwards, Ross Graham, Scott McMahon, Charlie Mulgrew, Liam Smith, Craig Sibbald, Ian Harkes, Dylan Levitt, Glenn Middleton and Stephen Fletcher. And on the bench, Carl Johan Eriksson, Kieran Freeman, Matthew Cujo, Arnaud Jim, Archie Meekinson, Sadat Anaku, Rory McLeod, Elmari Niskanen and Tony Watt. As for Ross County, Ross Laidlaw, Connor Randall, Alex Iakoviti, Keith Watson, George Harman, Alwura Edwards, Ross Callahan, Jan Danda, Victor Loturi, Jordan Tilson and Jordan White. And on the bench, Jake Eastwood, David Cancola, Jack Baldwin, Josh Sims, Callum Johnson, Kazim Olagbe, William Akio, Jordan Hawula, Methulia and Ben Payton. The scorers were Randall OG on 9, Charlie Mulgrew 70 and Sibbald on 90. Martin, any memories?
I do not remember that game at all. I think I airbrushed everything from that season, including the good points, out of my memory. It would have been the one few times I left Tannadice with a smile on my face that season. Just listening to that squad, how that team done so bad, it's just beggars belief. It really is.
But I get it
really
the reason why, mate.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, and it's probably a load of shite, but I'm sure that keeper was at the match fixing with what's his name? Fat Tony. I'm sure of it.
Ashgar.
Aye.
Probably. Mate, he was stinking. He cost us relegation that season.
Totally. If we had Segrist in goal, we're not getting relegated. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but we definitely wouldn't have got relegated. But anyway, enough of that.
As for this league table, that moves Martin on to 23 points, 5 points clear of me, and 11 points clear of Jack in the relegation zone. Jack, you're going to get relegated and we're going to get your brother involved next year.
He'll win.
Your brother do the Futbology?
No, but he probably remembers most of the games. Yeah.
Anyway, that now moves us on to our Derby quiz. We've never had a quiz on the podcast before. So what we were going to do originally was I was going to get a third party to make us 10 questions per team. We're then going to be allowed to confer, but I've not got a teammate. So how we're going to work it is I'm going to get all 10 questions and Martin and Jack are going to take it in turns to answer 10 questions. There's going to be 5 questions about Dundee, 5 questions about Dundee United, and 5 questions about Dundee Derby, Dundee related questions, and 5 Dundee United, Dundee Derby related questions. So the third party option also went out the window because we had to move the podcast to today. So I've made up 10 questions, Jack's made up 10 questions. I have said to Jack that if his questions are impossible, I'm not going to be a moan about it. So I would like you two to agree to the same thing. If you think our questions that I've made up are going to be too hard, just try your best to answer them.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have a bit of paper here, very technology, and I am going to write the scores on them.
I'm going to let you down, Martin. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to do terrible.
You have got more football knowledge than anybody when it comes to like past events. So I'm relying on you.
Mate, oh, you've definitely listened to this podcast. Oh
you
my
can
God.
pull things out the head that no United fan knows.
Anyway, Jack and Martin, since you guys are in the majority, would you like to go first or second?
Yeah, you choose.
We'll go first.
Okay. And who's going first between the two of you to answer the questions?
Ladies first, mate. Guess first. Martin's first.
Okay, so Martin's getting 5. Martin will get the more questions on United, and Jack, you'll get more questions on derbies.
Oh, Christ.
Okay, so Martin, question number 1. Which season did Dundee United finish runners-up in the Scottish Premier Division without losing a single league match?
Fucking hell.
Definitely wasn't the last season. Runners-up without losing a league match. Stabbing it, it's an educated. I'm going to imagine it was around about the late 70s, stroke 80s.
Has to be.
I'm going to say. Just thinking, so obviously we won it in 82, 83. 83, 84 was Aberdeen, but couldn't see us both finishing in the top 2 that season. Maybe wrong, but I'm going to go 84, 85.
Incorrect. The correct answer was 83, 84.
Oh,
Should have
damn.
thought that. You know, I can't believe I never went for that. I just thought United and Aberdeen top 2. Ah, man.
Okay, right, Jack.
Okay, so Dundee's record home attendance at Dens Park of 43,024 attendance was set against which club?
Rangers.
Correct.
He. Okay, that's 1 point on the board after one question. Jack, you're up.
Yeah.
Who is Dundee United's leading all-time appearance holder? Is it A. Maurice Malpass or B. Davy Mary?
Davy Neri.
Correct.
Boom. Okay, Dundee won the Scottish League in 1961-62. How many points clear of second place did they finish?
They won it on the last day. And it was 2 points to win at that time. 2 points?
Wrong. 3.
Oh well. Right, Martin.
Right.
In Dundee United's run to the 2010 Scottish Cup, there were 8 scorers. Name 6 of them.
But this is not including the final, no.
The whole run. So from
Whole
the round that they entered through to the final, there was 8 goal scorers.
Right, okay, right. Give me
Some of
2
them might
seconds.
have scored more than one,
Right.
but there
If
was
you
8
hear me-
goal scorers.
If you hear a keyboard going, it's just me typing players that I've already said, right? So I'm going to say,
I'll tell you if you've said them.
aye, Andy Shala,
That's 1.
Damien Castelnuovo,
That's 2.
Andy Webster,
That's 3.
Good Willie.
4.
How many was it you wanted?
I need 6.
6. Castelnuovo, Shala, Kovacevic.
That's 5.
Of course I'm stumbling now. Let me score that up. Oh, David Robertson.
Yeah,
That's
good man.
6. There we go. So, that's a point. You could have had Castelnuovo, Good Willie, Shala, Stephen Whittaker OG,
That would have been the game at Ibrox.
Kovacevic, Robertson, Webster and Conway.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was Castelnuovo's hand of God moment against Partick Thistle. I think it was the most blatant handball the Scottish Cup's ever seen. Thank God the referee didn't see it.
Right, Jack.
Okay, Dundee's record draw was a 5-all game in 1939. Which team did the draw against?
5-all. When was it? 1939.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to give me was it a league match?
I think it was.
Okay. Falkirk.
Wrong. It was Montrose.
Oh, well, there you go then. So, after 3 questions each, it's 2-1 Dundee United. So, Jack, you're up next.
Yep.
Dundee United reached the 1987 UEFA Cup final. Who did they play in the last 16?
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Nope. That was in the semi-final.
Oh.
They
Give
played...
that a go.
Go for it.
Last 16, that wasn't a Craiova, was it?
Nope.
Nah.
Hajduk Split.
Nah.
Okay, right, Jack.
Okay, this one's a hard one, mate.
Right, okay. They've all been hard.
Yes. Alan Gazian, or whatever his name is, scored the most goals for Dundee in a single game with 7 goals. Who was it against?
It's either between 2 teams. I think it's either Alloa or Queen of the South. Was it Alloa or Queen of the South?
I can confirm it is one of those teams. And the other
Queen
was
of
the
South.
record. Correct.
There we go.
Alloa was your biggest win.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I knew Alloa, Queen of the South were there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Right, Martin, question number 5. What is Dundee United's record win? You just have to give me the scoreline, but I'd be impressed if you told me who it was against.
It's one of these ones that I've obviously seen, but I just can't mind who it is against. And I'm tempted to say it was either 12 or 13-0. trying to think maybe who it was against. Spartans, maybe?
No, I wasn't against Spartans. I was against
it. Spartans, no.
They don't
No
exist
conferring.
anymore. Sorry, mate.
I'm going to say 13-0.
Oh, you're one off.
Was it 12?
14-0.
14.
In 1931 against Nithsdale Wanderers, who currently play in the South of Scotland League.
Mate, see when you say that, I've seen that stat and I've seen Nithsdale Wanderers umpteen times whilst reading that stat. It's so annoying, but you never remember stuff like that, do you?
No. Right, Jack, question number 5.
Okay, the island nation of Curaçao have just qualified for the first ever World Cup. Which player hailing from this country made 7 appearances for the club, scoring 5 goals in the 2006-2007 season?
Oh, I know who that is.
Go for it.
Dyron Dahl.
Correct.
There you go. See, if you didn't tell me the year, I would have been fucked.
Yeah, good job. That was a good one.
Okay, right, Jack. Question number 1 on Dundee United, Dundee Derby related questions.
Yeah.
This is quite a difficult one, to be fair. I probably should have given you easier ones. Okay. With 5 Dundee Derby goals, who is Dundee United's highest non-Scot Derby scorer?
Oof. 5 goals. Non-Scot. Trying to think. Oh. Is it John Daly?
Nope.
Yeah.
It was Mixu Patalainen.
Oh, fair. Wouldn't have got that.
Okay, right. You're number 1 for the Dundee Derby. Dundee related questions.
What is Dundee's largest competitive victory over United?
7-4, was it?
I'm going on the margin, so.
Alright, so not the most amount of goals they scored.
No.
4-1?
The answer's 5-0.
5-0.
In August
Okay.
28th, 1926.
There we go. Right, Martin. Question number 2 for that side of things. You're currently 3-2 down. Okay. There have been 8 derbies this decade. Okay, so since 2020. There have been 8 derbies this decade so far. How many have United won?
Who's this decade so far?
There's been 8.
Yeah, there's been 8. I told you that in the question.
It's Ken what I'm thinking. I'm thinking bloody for 2010 onwards. Muppet.
2020. I also specified that in the question.
Total brain fart moment there. Total brain fart moment. Right, how many have we won since 2020?
There's been 8 since 2020. How many have United won?
Ken what, I've probably been at a lot of them and I can't even bloody remember. Ken, there's definitely been 1 earlier on this season. How many have we not won? So we've got beat. I'm going to say we've won 5 of them. Pure stab in the dark.
3. There's been 3 United wins, there's been 3 draws, and there's been 2 Dundee wins. So the 2 Dundee wins were last season. United won last season, 1 this season, and the 1-1 with Ian Harps was the only scorer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jack.
Which player has scored the most goals for Dundee against United in all fixtures?
Ian Ferguson?
Wrong. Andy Penman.
Ah. Okay. Right, Jack. Question number 3, or question number 8, whatever you decide. Who was the last Dundee United player to score a competitive Dundee Derby hat-trick?
Right. Oh, God. I've got a memory like a sieve.
I reckon I know, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anyone in the 6-2's done it. Nah, I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I'm going to go Paul Sturrock.
Wrong.
Nah, not sure.
It was in 1995 and it was Billy McKinlay.
Oh well.
Okay, Jack, you're up.
Who's the oldest Dundee player to play in the Derby?
Oh my God. Oldest Dundee player to play in the Derby. God, that's a hard one, that. I can't even think who that could be. Oldest player. And the oldest player that's ever played for Dundee was Bobby Geddes. But I'm trying to think who could be the oldest player to play against United.
All stats are from the archive, by the way, just so you know.
That's fine. I don't disagree with what you're saying. Rob Douglas.
Correct.
Brilliant. Extend my lead. You need to get the next 2 questions right or you've lost.
No chance.
Right, Martin. What has been the record Tannadice Dundee Derby attendance? Was it A, 21,325, B, 22,325, or C, 23,325? So basically just say 21, 22 or 23, because the 325 is the same for every answer.
say stab in the dark. I'll go down the middle, 22. Hope it's right.
Incorrect. 21,325.
Well, we've no one, but oh well.
Not sure.
Aye.
Jack, what's your
Okay.
next question?
Opposite of the previous question, who's the youngest Dundee player to play in the Derby?
Jockey Scott.
Yeah, correct.
There we go.
Good job.
Pretty sure he scored as a 16-year-old at Tannadice.
He scored the same game, yeah.
Yeah. Right, okay, Jack, your last question.
Yeah.
What is Dundee United's longest unbeaten Dundee Derby run?
In terms of games,
Yeah, how many games?
13.
Bingo.
Boom. Let's go. Right.
And your last question.
In the 2017-18, good luck by the way. In the 2017-18 season, Dundee beat United 2-1 in the League Cup with goals from Elbak Tui and Paul McGowan. But which Dundee player features on the front cover of that game's matchday programme?
You don't even give us an A, B and C either, you dirty bastard.
I'll give you ABC then. Okay. Is it A, Kevin Holt, B, James McPake, Or C, Paul McGowan?
James Whitbeck.
Correct.
That's a belter of a question.
Some may see that that's cheating.
Anyway. Question of the derby.
Anyway, full-time score, Dundee 6, Dundee United 3.
Hopefully it's not that score on the game day.
Doubt it. Although if you added Dundee's 2 disallowed goals at Tannadice, it would have been 6-2. Anyway, that is the end of our Dundee Derby special. It was a good quiz. We should do that more often.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we leave you, as always, could you follow us on our social media platforms? On Twitter, we are at Sandeman STPod, and on Instagram, we are at Sandeman Street Pod. We've also got a YouTube channel which you can find through our Linktree or by just typing in the Sandeman Street Podcast to YouTube. We'll be back at some point next week with our latest instalment of the monthly top 5. I think Jack's turn to pick them this week, the subject this time, which we'll reveal next week. So, Martin, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
And Jack, thank you for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
So, as we said at the beginning of the end of last week's episode, have a good Christmas. This year, it's have a lovely new year. So, thanks very much for listening and have a great weekend. Cheers.